Hello there! In this video, I want to talk about global handwriting. Global handwriting is a feature on e-ink devices that have note-taking capabilities that most people probably either haven't heard of or don't fully understand. Even I myself really didn't understand the full functionality of global handwriting until recently, and I've been covering devices that have this for over a year now. I think I've reached a point where I pretty much fully understand it, and I want to do this video to basically be able to convey to my audience about how cool this feature is and how to actually use it and get value out of it. Now, before we get into that, let's just address the question of, well, why has this fallen so far under the radar? And there's really two reasons for that. The first reason is that global handwriting is a feature that's only available on Bigme or devices that license the Bigme software. So Rare2 is an example, as is Pocketbook in one particular case, where the device is using Bigme software. Otherwise, the devices out there don't have this feature. Books devices do not have global handwriting. Supernote, Remarkable, Kindle, Kobo, none of these devices have global handwriting. Really, it's just Bigme. And that's the biggest reason why people generally don't know what it does. But the other reason is, even for people who have devices with global handwriting or have, maybe gone to Bigme and read the description of devices, it's not clear what global handwriting does and how to use it. The tutorials on the device, I think, are kind of inadequate. The descriptions are not very good. So really, global handwriting, there's a big learning curve to it, and you just have to apply yourself to get through that. And most people don't have the opportunity or don't have the patience or desire to do that. So what I'm trying to do in this video is break all the mystery down about global handwriting. I want to be very clear about what it can do, why you might want to use it, and how to use it. So at the end of this video, you're going to know everything about global handwriting to get right in yourself and start using this really amazing feature. I think you're going to be surprised at what it can do and what that potential is. So I'm going to do this through 4 particular examples, and the examples get, I think, more and more poignant. So the first example is use of global handwriting with like OneNote, and then we'll go into just taking any type of screen and being able to write on that and take a picture, pretty basic stuff. But then we'll get into the read mode version of global handwriting, which I think is the killer app, and give 2 examples of that in action that I think tell a pretty compelling story. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get in on it, and let's take a look at those examples. Okay, let's start with the demonstration of how global handwriting works with OneNote, and we'll just do a brief look at that because the application is fairly simple. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the power. There we go. And we'll go ahead and put on front lighting so it's a little easier to see on the screen. And we're going to go, first off, I'm going to swipe down and validate that global handwriting is off. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go into OneNote. And if we go over, global handwriting has automatically turned on. This is the one time where it's structured to do that. So by having global handwriting on, I can write. And then it converts it into OneNote. So what's happening here is because without global handwriting on, it's a bit sluggish to write and then have it appear in OneNote. So let's take a look at that in action. So we're going to turn global handwriting off. And so now I'm just interacting with the app. So you can see there's a lag. Let's see that lag in action. By just interacting with the app. So what global handwriting does is it helps to alleviate that lag. So let's turn that back on. And we'll go with red. Okay. See, a much more responsive line. And you'll notice that the line starts off in whatever format that I've selected here in the menu. So let's go ahead, for example, and go into brush, and we'll go to green, and we'll make it super thick. for example. That's only going to reflect how the writing will initially write. Then it will translate into whatever the settings are within OneNote. So let's go ahead and a little pressure sensitive there. Okay, and you can see that it went from that green brush to a black pen, but it did transcribe the pressure sensitivity over when it converted into the OneNote. Let me show us another example. We'll go ahead and make this red, and we'll make this really thin. So that's the setting within OneNote. So the final product will be a thin red line. Let's go ahead and draw another curve. Right? So we started with the font settings from Global Handwriting, and then it converts it into whatever the font is within OneNote. So again, the broad purpose of Global Handwriting is just to eliminate that lag. So again, see, it's very responsive when I write. Then it converts. Versus, if I turn Global Handwriting off, which has a much clunkier responsiveness. So that's quite simply the purpose of this particular version of Global Handwriting. The only app I've found that really uses this is OneNote, although if you go into the Global Handwriting menu, they do talk about other apps, including Evernote and WPS, which is kind of their office application. I haven't tried those. To me, most people would be using OneNote, and so that's why I focused on that example. But the idea is the same. It's the idea that you eliminate the lag by using Global Handwriting in these types of apps. Okay, let's talk about the second version of Global Handwriting. And quite simply, this is where, regardless of the screen that you're looking at, you can write on top of that screen, and then you take an image of it, and that becomes a PNG file. So this is basically something you would do if you're only doing kind of a one-off or a couple pages, because every page that you create a screenshot of will be a separate PNG file. So this is a good example here. We're on the app screen, and this screen is not designed to take any type of pen input. You can see it like so. I can write on this, but nothing's going to happen. It might move the screen, but it's not going to write. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and go into Global Handwriting, turn it on, and then go into what's called picture mode. I'll go ahead and pick ball pen. We'll pick red. This will be easy to see. 3-point font is fine. Okay, so now I can just go ahead and navigate to wherever I want to go, and I can now write. Like so. Now this writing will actually just stay on there, like it's its own separate layer, regardless of what I do with the device itself. So for example, I'm going to go to the second page of the app screen, and the text just comes with it. This doesn't do anything until I take a picture of this screen. And how you do that is you do the drop-down bar and you click on the screenshots button, and it will create an image. There's basically what the image looks like there. There are further abilities to kind of edit or share the file. Those are all optional. The image itself is already saved. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. We'll go ahead and get out of Global Handwriting to get rid of that text. Let's go ahead and go into storage, and we're going to click on picture, and see there is the PNG file. Now what might be a practical application of this? Well, I'll give you an example that I actually used recently, where I was in the eink center, and I noticed there was this anti-shake feature, and I didn't know what this meant. I couldn't find anything in the tutorials that would explain that. So the way I did it is I ended up taking a screenshot, like so. And there's the screenshot. We'll go ahead and exit out. We'll go back into that screenshot. And the reason why I had to do this was because this was a pop-up window. So I had to basically take the picture first in this case. So now I'm going to go ahead and go into Global Handwriting, click on, go into picture mode. I have all my settings, and then I could just go like this, and then take a picture of that, which is right there. Okay. I then took this picture to Bigme and said, hey, please look at the attached image. Can you explain what this function is? And they replied and let me know that this particular function is related to how videos work with a Kaleido 3 screen, and it's supposed to help make the videos smoother. Okay, so that's just one example of using this global handwriting in action. I've kind of got a one-off. I want to write some notes on a screen and then save it as a PNG file. That's basically what that version of global handwriting does. Okay, let's take a look at what I think is the most interesting and most powerful of the 3 different types of global handwriting. And we're going to start off by a pretty basic example. We're going to look at Kobo books. I'm going to go ahead and go in. I'm already in a book. This is just a novel. It doesn't matter which one. You can, but it's called The Falling Woman, just as an FYI. But again, there's no pen input on native to this application, so my stylus doesn't do anything. Now, if I go into Global Handwriting, turn that on, there is this option called Read Mode. And I'm going to go ahead, just stick with ball pen red. It's working well for this demonstration. But remember, I could also select brush, pencil, and pen. It's just up to me what I want to do. And then you go to this screen. Now, what you're doing basically is you're creating a notebook file that you want to save your annotations in. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. There's 4 of them that one is there by default, called default, and then I've created the other 3. I'm going to create another one. The only thing you have to be concerned with is the title cannot have spaces. If there's spaces in the title, then it won't work properly for some reason. So I'm going to call this one Kobo 2. Oops. There we go. All right, so now I've got my notebook listed here, and I can select that. There's also instructions on what the buttons mean, but I'm going to go ahead and walk you through that, so we won't read that there. And you can see that there is your side navigation. Now let's walk through what these buttons mean before we start doing any type of annotations. The first thing is that this up arrow and this down arrow is a page turning button. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the application that you're looking at, but it does work in Kobo. So let me go ahead and go page up, and what we'll see is we'll go backwards 1 page. Like so. And if I go page down, it will go forwards a page. Pretty straightforward. The finger is about touch input. Right now it's allowing touch input, so I can advance the pages. Here I'll go back 1 and forward 1. If I click on this, then I can't do that. This is a nice feature because if you're writing, sometimes you want to put your hand on the screen and it might execute some sort of function by doing that. You might not get good palm rejection, just depends on the app. So you can do your writing without having to worry about that. Right, so I didn't have to worry. Now, in order for the global handwriting to basically save this into the notebook file, I have to click either of the navigation buttons. It doesn't matter which one. It also doesn't matter if the navigation buttons work to navigate or not. Clicking on the navigation button once you've written anything is enough to trigger it to take an image and to store it into the notebook. We'll just go ahead and do an advanced page. And you'll notice that not only have we advanced the page, but the writing is gone. It's saved into that notebook. In order for us to see that, we can click on this little hamburger here, and that'll take us right to the notebook. There it is, 1 out of 1. We only have 1 page that we've saved, and there's the writing that we just saved. And then you have the ability to do editing in this notebook. So for example, this pen tray you can just hide, like so. You can bring it back. You can moor it to the side if you want it out of the way. You've got all your pen options here. So we'll click on that and show you the different options, right? So you've got pen, pencil, brush, ball pen, and highlight. So the same list as you have when we went into Global Handwriting, but it includes this highlighter function. However, I'll point out, and let's go ahead and select the highlighter. And of course you have color and line width as well. Let's go ahead and select that highlighter, and let me show you how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this text here. Okay, see, it's treating it, in this case, kind of like, almost like a marker, but not quite. Let me go back to ball pen, and I'm going to write on top of this. So what's happening here is basically the image is treated as a template on this particular page. So the highlighter doesn't recognize and can't interact with that template. So the highlighter basically goes on top of the text, but it's behind any other writing. So even if I had started with the writing, like so, I could have taken my highlighter and it'll be behind that writing. So the highlighter functionality doesn't work because it can't go behind the image, essentially. There is a way around that. So let's go back to Kobo. See, we still have Global Handwriting on. Let's go ahead and highlight a section here, just using the app's own ability to highlight. And that's how you would get highlights into your annotation. So you would actually use the app's own highlighting function, and that gives you the ability to highlight. Now, right now though, it's not going to recognize this page, because as far as it's concerned, that is to say the Global Handwriting is concerned, I haven't done anything here. I haven't put any marking. So I'm just going to put a little slash here. We'll go ahead and save that. Okay, and if we go into the notebook, there's the highlighting, there's the slash, and it comes over into that notebook we've recreated for Global Handwriting. Just to finish the tour here, there's some other things we can do. We can undo or redo our strokes. We can add shapes. So you see there's 4 different types of shapes that we can put in there. Like so. You can crop. Like so. You can disable touch. You can insert text, delete the page, refresh the screen, and export the file. And this can be either as a PNG or PDF. So it's, it's a pretty basic, but definitely functional enough Notes application. It doesn't have quite the depth of the Notes application on the main Notes app on this device, but it has a good range for the annotations. Now, if I wanted to change my pen strokes, I can do that. I can go into Global Handwriting and say, no, actually I want green, and we'll make it a little thinner. And you can do that accordingly. You can save it and do annotations like that. So pretty powerful, but I don't think this is the most powerful use of this functionality. So for that, let's go ahead and get out of, we'll get out of Kobo. We're going to go ahead and turn off Global Handwriting. And then we'll reinitiate it. Turning it on, we'll go into read mode, go back to red and 3-point font. And let's go ahead and create a new folder. We'll call this research. Okay, there it is. There's a notebook. We'll click on that. Okay. So what you probably have noticed in the previous example is even as I got out of Kobo, we still had Global Handwriting active. And that's one critical feature that's pretty cool in my mind, is you can go between different applications using the Global Handwriting feature. So let's say, for example, I'm doing research on a particular topic, and we won't select a topic for this demonstration, but we'll start with Google News, for example. Let's have that. Oh, we need to go into Wi-Fi so we can activate that. Refresh it, and let's find something that's not depressing. Oh my goodness. Okay, Pearl Jam. Great. Okay, I want to do research on Pearl Jam. So I'll just do an annotation here. Just making this up. I'm not going too deep, just for demonstration purposes. Okay, I'm in Google News. Oh, let me note that. Google News. Just for this demo. I'm going to go ahead and save it. These page keys do not have any functionality in this app. So it's not going to move it, but it is going to save my writing. And it doesn't matter, again, which one I do. So we'll just do this top one. Writing goes away. It's created an image. Perfect. We're ready to move on. I'm going to do more research on Pearl Jam. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the browser now. Oh, okay. So that's the touch screen was off. That's why it wasn't working. It was working. It was doing exactly what I wanted it to do. So we'll just search for Pearl Jam. Great. Let's see. All right. Again, just putting on the turning off touch input just makes it easier to write. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and save that. All right, I'm not done. I want to go ahead and go into my music library and see if I gotta turn off. That's the only thing. You do have to remember to turn on and off the touch. Okay. Okay, so now I'm in the music app and made a little note there. Okay, I've now gone into 3 different applications, right? We started with Google News, we went to the browser, and now we're in the music app. I could have gone into any combination of applications that I wanted. The functionality would have been identical. Let's go ahead and take a look at that notebook. All right, here we are in the first page. You can barely see it, but on the top of the screen are the menus from the music app. Let's go back a page. All right, there's our picture from the browser. Let's go back one more page, and there is where we started with Google News. I can click on this 1 to 3, and you don't see the images, but you see the handwriting. And you can click on any of those, and it takes you straight to that page. We can then save the file, and now we've got this research file. And by the way, I can continue adding to that. So let's go ahead and get out of Global Handwriting, like so. Okay, and let's see what we want to do here. We'll just go back into the browser, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and turn Global Handwriting back on. Make sure I'm in read mode. We'll go with blue. I'm not going to create a new workbook. I'm just going to go ahead and click on this research one. Beautiful. Let's go into the browser, I guess. We'll just keep looking here. All right, we'll save that. Go ahead and go into the notebook. And see, now we've added that 4th page. So I can have a running, I can do research on a topic, I can gather information on a topic or whatever I want, and I can use it in multiple sessions across multiple apps. That's the power of Global Handwriting. Now, what if I wanted to take a look at this workbook, but I didn't want to go in to Global Handwriting itself. How do I get to that workbook? Okay, the way you do it is you go into the Notes app, and there's this icon right here. It's like a little book with a little pencil in the corner. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it's giving me this pop-up menu with two options. This first option is any type of notes that you take when you're in split screen mode. Okay, but the second option is the notes that we took when we were doing global handwriting. Let's go ahead and click on that. And here they are. And I can then go into this research folder. And now I'm in the notebook. And I can do anything that I could have done before. Like, for example, maybe I want to erase this. I can add in new writing. Whatever I want, you have the ability to continue to edit here. So really cool functionality once you understand how it works, and hopefully this video kind of helps A, demonstrate it, and B, kind of walk through how it operates, because it's just not clear. That's the big criticism of this functionality, is that the tutorial and the information is frankly a bit confusing. But it doesn't need to be. It's not that intimidating once you understand how it works. Okay, so my goal in this video was to kind of demystify global handwriting, explain how it worked, what it is, and why someone would want to use it. So hopefully I've accomplished that. If I didn't, or if you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave some comments, and I'll try to answer those as best as I can. But hopefully I was able to provide some pretty tangible demonstrations about this in action and why I think it's such a valuable tool. This is one of the coolest features that I've seen on any e-ink device. And for it to basically kind of be mired in obscurity, I think, is a crime, and I'm trying to resolve that, and hopefully I did. All right, with that, I will end the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something from it. Until then, I will talk to you next time.